soon after that, she died, and Sam found the widow, Maggie, Big Mama, and they were married and had 2 more boys.
Wow.
James Aubrey Hogan and Robert Emmett Hogan, my dad. Soon after Robert was born, Maggie and Sam separated, and just 6 months after my dad was born. So he grew up without a father, but even the couple of James Aubrey and a couple of the younger Liston boys were still home, and they also didn't have a father during this time. Big Mama continued to raise and nurture those 8 boys that she bore until her death in 1960. Right now I need to talk about a third family here, and I know that our interest is on Hogan and Liston, but Ray and Belle Helm were a family that were in Kaufman up until the early 1940s. And they decided to move over to College Mound, good move, in those early 1940s. And Ray and Belle had 4 children, Marilyn, Norma Ray, Davy, and Ray Edward. Marilyn found my dad, and she is my mother. The Helm kids grew up in and around this church, and this mean a ton to them. And the youngest one of them, Ray Edward, is here with us today, and his wife Dee. And by the way, this is his birthday. We have a lot of them. We'll have to tell you about this later on, but let's just say I am. He is my uncle, but he is 8 months younger than me. so we could discuss that later on. But
that is my little nephew.
But for this, starting today, for the next few months, he's the same age as me. They also made this their home. His daddy Ray raised chickens out here, and they were a stalwart of College Mound for many years. For me, the core of the Liston Hogan clan is Big Mama and those 8 boys, 6 Listons and 2 Hogans. They lived as brothers, although the oldest one, Curtis, was 23 years older than my dad, Robert. So, as you can imagine, Curtis could be just as fatherly to my dad as he was brotherly. And the same with some of the others that were older. They were all born on the same dining room table in a house on the original Liston property right across the road from the cemetery. They are all great men. You could tell that they came from a home of love, discipline, hard work, and Christian values. And I'm so proud that I got to know all of them. And they were all great people. All right, so the Big Mama, 4 of the Liston boys, and both of the Hogan boys are buried out in the cemetery behind us. And of course, in the situation of the boys, they were buried about 300 yards from where they were born. I've always thought that was an unbelievable thing that happened, including my dad. So I have so many remembrances of the boys. Too many for me to talk about today. Y'all all get hungry. But I'm going to say something about each one. Uncle Curtis was tall, strong, had a big, deep voice. He and Elizabeth, of course, had the 4 that I talked about a minute ago. And much of their families are here today with us, too. He often hosted our families for Christmas and for special events. They lived out on Griffith Avenue on the west side of Terre, and had us over there, and it was a great time. Uncle Kurt. Now, he also was a distributor for the Curtis Candy Company.
Ooh.
So for all of us young ones, this was a good thing to go see Uncle Kurt. Uncle Arthur was number 2. He was a farmer rancher just north of Terrell. He was tall, thin, athletic, had a great sense of humor. And he and his wife, Desi, had 2 girls. Y'all probably know them. We lost one of them several years ago, Henry Liston Samuels. And the other one is that Barbara Racer girl. Yes. Number 3 was Uncle Earl, also tall. The first 3 got a lot of the height of this thing. He was always smiling and telling jokes. He lived in Waco, so I got to see him less, and also he was the first one of the boys to die. Now I'm gonna keep saying boys. They were hardly anything but boys when I was a kid. But all of us, one generation below the boys, call them the boys. I don't think they call each other that, but it just became that thing that we call them that. He had one daughter, Sharon, and Sharon, unfortunately, and his wife Estelle, and Sharon unfortunately died in a car wreck just last year. So we just lost Sharon a short time ago. Uncle Walter was number 4. Now, he lived most of the time in Corsicana, and y'all may have, he was kind of known between the boys as a hunter and outdoorsman of the bunch. He also built these stagecoaches, and you never heard about these before. Corner Barbara and let her tell you about, or me today, let her tell you about these stagecoaches. He carved them himself. They were so authentic. They're about this big, and he even made one. Mine was, excuse me, they were given to all the cousins, the offspring of the boys, as they got married. So that's a lot of stuff. I got to see him in his workbench one day in Corsicana, and asked him, Uncle, what is it? By the way, he's also known as Uncle Fudge. But I asked him, what does it take to do one of these? Well, boy, it's a little over 100 hours. Wow. So that's how much was in those things. They're beautiful, and I wouldn't take it from him. Now, we lost one that was stolen in a move of Cindy and mine, so he made me another one. And as he got older in age, since there's over 11 years between me and my brother over there, he said, I may not make it far enough before he gets married. So he made one early, gave it to my dad, and he held on until he and Lynn were married in 1990, and that's when he got his stagecoach along the way. Uncle Walter had no kids. He and Aunt Myrna. Uncle Claude was number 5. And he lived in California most the whole time I know of him. So I don't know a lot about him except what my dad would tell me. One of the things I do know is that many of the boys were in the military. They were of age, kind of around World War II a little bit. Claude was the one that had the most military stuff. He fought in some of the toughest of those island wars in the South Pacific during World War II, and luckily came back with his life. And he only had one child named David. Number 6, many of y'all might know, is Granny Liston. Granny lived and farmed and ranched the original Liston property right over here his whole life. And because of his proximity to the church, he was available to pastors to come over and fix things. I suspect there's a pastor right over here in this corner that knows a lot about that. Yes, indeed. That was available to help whenever. And he just always had a joke, loved his playing guitar, and that distinctive twang. You didn't have to be very far away before you knew Grady is talking in there. First, the Hogan boys, well, I have to sort of explain how this works. When Maggie, there's a little gap in between the sixth Uncle Grady Liston boy and the first Hogan boy. James Aubrey Hogan was born in 1924 to Maggie and Sam, as they knew him, Sam Hogan. He also lived north of Terrell, was a farmer, rancher. He and Audra had 2 children, and Audra's here today, and Joe was hoping to get here, and his wife is here, but he wasn't able to come today. And their families are here. A bunch of their families are here. He was tall, hard-working, and had a very kind heart. And the other thing he would do, and he was a dairyman for a while. Now, I love going down to his house. I wish Joe was here because he rolled his eyes right now. I love going down there, getting up at 4:30 in the morning, going out and seeing the relationship they had with those cows. They knew every one of them. They got, so when you're a dairyman, you know everything about the cows you have. And running them in here, my eyes were big. I thought it was the coolest thing. For James Aubrey, he'd say, boy, those udders fill up twice a day, every day. Even on Christmas Day. And they have to be emptied. And for Joe, being a young man in James Aubrey's house, it was a lot of work for Joe too. So I don't know if he didn't, maybe I didn't, you were in, I think you were out there with me that morning. You were out there, and even if the scratch had happened on one of those cows, they knew it, because they were so close to him. My dad was number 8, the baby of the boys. The next oldest, James Aubrey, was 6 years older than him, and the next oldest was Grady, was 6 years older than James Aubrey. So because of that, Dad spent a lot of time with just he and Big Mama. Because when Dad was just 6 months old, he and Big Mama and Sam broke up. They separated. Sam